members, like parents and siblings, some of the most passionate defenders of the homosexual born that way lie. I think of Dick Cheney.
Oh, right.
Remember he was one of the first, certainly Republicans who came out in favor of gay marriage because he found out his daughter was gay. So why do family members do that, Janet?
I can't speak for all families, but because I do work with a lot of parents have been given an ultimatum, especially nowadays. What parent wants to lose their child or not have a relationship with them? There's a parent, her name is Judy, and she's been with my ministry about 6 years. Her only child said, if you don't support my views and my values, if you don't go out and tell family members that I'm a lesbian, I will disown you. She hasn't talked with her daughter for 6 years. Haven't seen her, hasn't talked. She sent her checks, cards. She won't respond until she affirmed her actions. Well, the Bible talks about things like this are going to happen. We're going to lose our kids. Kids are going to hate us. Parents are going to go against their kids. So we should not be surprised as long as Satan is on planet Earth. These things are going to happen. And it doesn't mean that we don't continue to pray for our kid and love their kid, but in the end, you still got to stand before the Lord. And to throw God under the bus, the Creator who makes a decision where you will spend eternity, it doesn't make sense. God loves that child more than you do.
Yes.
More than you do. And yes, you did your part. He said, train up a child. You did your part. I walked away for 14 years. And if we really believe and trust God that when we die, we're going to go be with Him, then how much more should you be able to trust God that He can get to your child? He's omnipresent. He can get somebody to your child much faster than you can. He said, I'm working on a kid and calling them out of their names. Trust God. Pray for your kids. A lot of people say, I'm tired of praying. Jack, don't tell me to pray. What else do you have? That's our access to God. But I do think that is one of the answers. Somebody else might have more, but is given an ultimatum.
Dave?
Well, there are a number of issues around this question, and I'm sure David picked up some great answers as well. There's so much to this, but when you look at, first of all, is the instinct of a healthy parent to love our children and want that relationship. And when we are faced with a situation where with a child who has rejected what, in our view, what we believe and what we have taught them, and choosing a different lifestyle, and that lifestyle may be homosexuality, it may be where they have decided they're going to, in a case, divorce a wife or do something that commit adultery or get involved in drugs. There may be things that where you look at a child and say, I can't, was that my fault? And this is one of the great dilemmas that a lot of parents go through when they look at, especially in this issue, to say, well, if they're not born that way, then something caused it. And if something caused it, I'm the parent. Where was I? It must be my fault. And there's a certain framework of that parents don't, either they have to choose a path of how they're going to respond to that. And as Janet said, so you're either going to look at it and say, first of all, as I was reminded by a number of pastors, as we were going through a dark period with a son who came back from war, emotionally traumatized from combat, and did leave his wife and his daughters. And I had to confront him and challenged him and opposed him and stood and told him that I would never accept his decision because it was against God. And I would always love him, but I would never accept what choices he made. And for a season, there was a separation. But you know what? God answered prayers, brought him back to her, and they're now married, and we saw God heal that marriage. And
wow.
I'm going to say that because it is the stand of saying, I trust God. And my child, God gave that child to me. That child, my son, whether young or old, does not belong to me, it belongs to God. My first call as a parent is to be true to God and show the way to that child. And even if they're wandering for a season because of something they may have experienced that I couldn't control, or maybe I could, but I didn't. Either way, the choice is to love them enough to point them in the way to the healing and the restoration. that takes some tenacity that often we don't have as parents. It's easier to just say, hey, I love you no matter what. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to affirm you in where you are. And parents, I'm sorry, that's not love.
Brian.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something to that, and that is that the LGBT movement is extremely good at playing with the parents' emotions in this case. I mean, they have developed strategies by some, professional psychiatrists and psychologists to go into the parents' minds, and this is why you must support your son, blah, 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 groups like Pink Floyd and all of that. And a lot of times when they will also work on the other end and persuade a child, well, if you're not getting along, maybe you're really gay. And we have booklets that they've published on how to come out to your parents and how to deal with your parents, and call us and we'll help you deal with your parents. And unfortunately, the parents are when this happens, are going through a very traumatizing situation themselves, and they probably don't have people like John and Pastor Welsh to lead them in the right direction. We work with a lot of parents of gay kids, and luckily most of them have been able to see the right way and see what's going on. But unfortunately, a lot of parents don't have that support, and they're up against something almost demonic that is targeting them.
I think, I just think our very sanity is at stake. The line is in the sand. God gives us a